James Webb captures a cosmic lion sculpted by a dying star. Imagine looking into deep space and seeing the face of a giant lion staring back at you. It sounds like science fiction, but the James Webb Space Telescope has captured exactly that, a spectacular infrared view of NIRCam 2392, a planetary nebula commonly known as the Lion Nebula. What makes this object extraordinary isn't just its lion-like appearance. Webb's observations reveal the violent and beautiful aftermath of a dying sun-like star, showing how a stellar corpse can continue transforming the space around it thousands of years after the star itself has entered the final stage of its cell life. At the center of this cosmic lion sits an incredibly hot white dwarf, the exposed remnant of the original star. Its intense radiation is now illuminating and reshaping enormous amounts of gas and dust that the star expelled during its final stages. The result is a structure that looks almost like a face, complete with a bright central region resembling a button nose and a surrounding mane filled with mysterious dusty structures. NIRCam 2392 isn't new to astronomers. The Hubble Space Telescope photographed the Lion Nebula back in 2000, revealing its remarkable face-like shape in visible light. But Webb sees the universe differently. Using its near-infrared camera, or NIRCam, and mid-infrared instrument, known as MIRI, Webb can detect infrared light that reveals structures hidden within or difficult to distinguish in visible wavelengths. The new observations expose dense concentrations of dust, glowing regions of ionized gas, and intricate structures within the nebula's enormous surrounding shells. What appears from a distance to be a simple lion's face is actually an incredibly complicated environment that has been evolving for thousands of years. And remarkably, the process is still happening. Gas and dust continue moving away from the central stellar remnant, meaning Webb isn't simply photographing a static object. It is capturing one moment in an ongoing cosmic transformation. So how does a dying star create something that looks like a giant lion? The answer begins with the kind of star that created NIRCam 2392. Unlike extremely massive stars, which can end their lives in spectacular supernova explosions, lower mass stars like the one that created this nebula follow a much quieter, but still extraordinary path. As such a star approaches the end of its life, the nuclear reaction supporting its core can no longer maintain the same balance. The star becomes unstable and begins pulsating, eventually shedding its outer layers into surrounding space. Those layers form expanding shells of gas and dust. At the center, the star's exposed core remains behind as an extremely hot white dwarf. Although the white dwarf is tiny compared with the enormous nebula surrounding it, it becomes the engine driving the entire spectacle. Its intense radiation floods the material around it, stripping electrons from atoms and creating glowing ionized gas. In the Lion Nebula, this process has produced the bright central bubble that forms much of the recognizable lion-like face. The white dwarf is essentially cooking the nebula from the inside out. But the most fascinating structures may be hiding around that central face. Webb's observations reveal a surrounding region that resembles the lion's mane. This isn't actually a cloud of hair, of course. The mane is made from a complex shell of dust and gas containing dense clumps that have managed to survive the intense radiation from the stellar remnant. Some of these structures resemble tiny comet tails or tufts of hair stretching away from the center. Their survival is itself important. The densest dust clumps can block some of the white dwarf's radiation, creating protected regions behind them where additional material can survive. In effect, these tiny concentrations of matter act like cosmic shields. They help create the complicated patterns that Webb sees throughout the nebula. Astronomers still don't completely understand why planetary nebulae can develop such elaborate rings, shells, and clumps, which means objects like NIRCam 2392 are more than beautiful photographs. They are laboratories for studying what happens to stars and their surrounding environments at the end of stellar evolution. There is also something deeply temporary about this cosmic masterpiece. The Lion Nebula may look enormous and permanent to us, but on astronomical timescales, its current appearance is fleeting. The gas and dust expelled by the dying star are continuing to travel outward into space. Eventually, the material will become more dispersed, the glowing structures will fade, and the distinctive lion shape will gradually disappear. Astronomers estimate that the nebula could disperse within roughly another 10,000 years. That may sound like an enormous amount of time, but compared with the billions of years involved in the life of a star, it is little more than a cosmic instant. Webb has therefore captured something we would never be able to witness on human timescales, a temporary phase in the death of a star, frozen for us in an infrared image. And this is what makes the Lion Nebula so remarkable. The star at its center has effectively reached the end of its original life, yet its death has created an enormous structure of glowing gas, dust shells, and surviving clumps that continues to evolve across space. In a strange sense, the star is gone, but its final act is still shaping its surroundings. Eventually, the material expelled by stars like this becomes part of the interstellar environment from which future generations of stars and planetary systems can form. The elements produced and redistributed throughout stellar lifetimes don't simply disappear when a star dies. They become part of the cosmic material that can eventually be incorporated into new worlds. The James Webb Space Telescope has now given astronomers a much more detailed look at this process in NGC 2392. By combining near-infrared and mid-infrared observations, Webb is revealing structures that visible light observations alone cannot fully expose. The result is a cosmic lion that is simultaneously beautiful, violent, and temporary, a giant sculpture being continuously carved by the radiation of a dying star. And perhaps the most remarkable part is that the lion isn't truly finished. Its mane will continue expanding, its structures will continue changing, and eventually the entire nebula will fade into the surrounding interstellar space. What Webb has captured is therefore not simply the portrait of a cosmic animal. It is a snapshot of stellar death, becoming part of the next chapter of the universe. The Lion Nebula reminds us that even the death of a star can create something extraordinary. A sun-like star may eventually shed its outer layers and leave behind a white dwarf, but the material it releases can illuminate space, create intricate structures, and contribute to the raw ingredients of future cosmic systems. For thousands of years, this particular star has been sculpting its surroundings, and now, thanks to James Webb, we can finally see the details of its final